Oh, we are back. The PGA Tour season on CBS set to begin this weekend at the Farmers. Historic Torrey Pines playing the stage to the world's best, but frankly, none better than world number one Jon Rahm, the Spaniard. He's dominated at the public gem, including his triumph last season at the U.S. Open. Here's a look at the odds heading into this year's Farmers, and there is Rahmbo at 7-1 atop the leaderboard. Justin Thomas twice the value there at 14-1, followed by Bryson, Xander, Hideki, who's been red hot, 20-1. You got some big names down the board as well. DJ 25-1, Brooks 33-1 if you're looking for some longer value. With that, we welcome in a pair that takes us inside the ropes week in and week out. CBS Sports golf analysts Doug Bell and Kyle Porter joining us from the PGA Merchandise Show in Orlando. We're going to get to some of the new tech in a moment, guys, but let's begin with the Farmers. It's been a long time since there's been that Tiger versus the field type feel, but you put Jon Rahm on this plot of land, and that's sort of the vibe out there. KP, lead us off. What makes Rahm so dominant at Torrey? And if we maybe reach that point where perhaps the perception starts to work against him?
Well, you know, first the thing about what makes him so dominant at Torrey, he's unbelievable from tee to green, right? Yeah. I mean, he's so good from tee to green, one of the best in the world, but he's also a very complete player. We were talking about this earlier. It's not just the tee to green. It's how good his hands are around these greens. It's how good he is with the putter. There's just not that many holes. I mean, think about this, Joe. There's in 5 events at Torrey, 2017, 2019, 2020, 2021 Farmers Insurance Opens. So those 4. And then also the 2021 U.S. Open. He's only lost to 11 guys at those 5 events. He's won 2 of them, finished runner-up at another. So he just doesn't get beat on this golf course. And you're right. I mean, 7-1 against this field. When the next closest guy is 14-1, and that guy is a top 6 player in the world in Justin Thomas, that's unbelievable, but it's also appropriate because, again, Doug and I were talking last week. Doug's calling the American Express. Rahm finishes T11. That's his 2nd worst finish on the PGA Tour since the PGA Championship 9 months ago. Wow. So he's just been he's been unbelievable for the last 9 months, and I still think the general kind of golf audience is maybe underrating how good he's been for such a long time.
You know, Kyle, it's interesting. He's not only a must-watch, but Joe, he's a must-listen to. Today at his press conference, I'm fascinated by this guy. Again, think about this. He didn't speak English until he came to Arizona State about 8 years ago. And now he's this articulate guy who holds these press conferences, and it's fascinating. He explained last week he was frustrated. He will be fined, by the way, for being caught on camera saying some salty things. But you know, he said, "Listen, I hate easy setups, and it was too easy last week. He hates it when it's just a putting contest because it lets more players into the chance of winning. And now he's at a place that he loves, and there's not many people who can win at this tough track. And, of course, he loves it here. The tougher, the better, because he has the best game of anybody in the world, with all due respect to Colin Morikawa. Hits it long, hits it high with the irons. Short game is incredible with great imagination. His putter, if it gets hot this week, look out. Jon Rahm, you know, he proposed to his wife on this property.
Yep.
Of course he's going to love Torrey Pines, Joe. A
lot of good vibes out there for Rahmbo. A cumulative 51 under at the Farmers since 2017. Yes. If we're talking horses for courses, this is starting to look like Secretariat at the Belmont. But world number one coming off a frustrating week at the American Express. As we said, another memorable hot mic moment offering some color. Let's get to a pick here, though, guys. Doug, who you tailing this week at Torrey?
Well, I'm going with a guy who has pretty good odds, 28-1, and hasn't won yet at the on the PGA Tour. Scotty Scheffler followed him last week, made the cut, eagling 16, birding 17 on Saturday. I thought that was huge for Scotty Scheffler. He's got a new guy in the bag, Ted Scott, who carried for all of Bubba Watson's victories. They broke up. Scotty brings in the old veteran. He's got a game, hits it long, hits it high, just like Jon Rahm. I think Scotty Scheffler, who's hunting that first win in the PGA Tour, I think comes this week with those delicious 28-1 odds.
Those odds are good. I also like Daniel Berger's odds. You know, Daniel Berger, I think he closed at like 22-1. And Berger, you know, Joe, he's been, again, these guys get talked about a lot. He's at the Ryder Cup, plays well there, plays well at some major championships, wins Pebble last year. So it's not like he's not in the conversation. I just don't know that he's in it enough. I mean, if you look at the last 20 rounds of everybody in this field, Daniel Berger's first in the field of all the great players in this field from tee to green. He's been hitting the ball from tee to green better than anybody in this field. Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Hideki Matsuyama, who wins at the Sony, even Rahm. Daniel Berger's been the best guy from tee to green over his last 20 rounds, and he plays great at Torrey Pines. I'm really excited, not only for what he could do at Torrey this week, but for the rest of his year. He's playing at a level, Joe, that implies not just one win, but multiple wins throughout the rest of 2022.
And as we know, anytime you get DB on a coastline, straight vibing. It's just how it goes. Guys, I know we're a couple weeks already into the calendar year on tour, but we're back on CBS. I get to chop it up with two of the best in the business, so let's broaden our scope a bit. Major rotation this year goes Augusta, Southern Hills, Brookline, and the Old Course. KP, is there a specific fit you like at one of those courses? Give us a name you believe will claim a major this season.
Well, Joe, I'm going to have to go back to Jon Rahm, you know, and he's somebody that, again, we've talked about him a ton. I don't know that we can possibly talk about him enough. You know, it's somebody that if you look at, you know, I had to pick these things at the beginning of January, which, you know how this goes, Joe. I can't even pick them when there's like 4 holes left in the major. I still don't know who's going to win. So to pick it on January 1 is just, it's a fool's errand, but somebody's got to write the content. That was me, so I picked Jon Rahm to win the Masters. And you know, Rahm at the Masters, he's, again, flown under the radar a little bit over the last few years. He's got 3 straight top 10s there. Not a ton of noise, not really like in it late at Augusta, but he's just played really solid golf there. So, you know, very much going out on a limb to pick the #1 player in the world to win a major championship in 2022. But that's the guy that I'm really looking at to collect his second at still at a, you know, in his mid-20s, which would be an incredible feat.
And Kyle, Joe, the guy I really like, and I've followed him a lot. That's the great thing about my job. I'm inside the ropes, walking along with the best golfers in the world. It's exciting. And the guy that really stands out, Viktor Hovland. Look out for Viktor. And you mentioned the 4 major sites. He can win at any of those sites because his game travels. A young guy who knew that his deficiency was in the short game. And I remember last year at Mayakoba, and remember he won there at the beginning of this new wraparound season. And I interviewed him, and he said, listen, my short game stunk. I don't think he used the word stunk, but something to that effect. Yeah. So he went to work, and that's what he does. And Viktor Hovland, guys, again, he's not at Jon Rahm's level yet, but he's getting there, and Viktor Hovland is capable. Listen, he's only played in 7 major championships. That's not very many. He has a T12 at the Open, a T13 at the U.S. Open, but it's going to get better. Look for Viktor Hovland. I think that's a really good bet this year in 2022.
Yeah, really seems to have the proper demeanor, too, to take on one of these 72-hole plus marathons that it takes to hoist one of those 4 trophies. I like that pick as well. Guys, it is a work trip. Let's just be honest with each other, but being a golf nerd and a habitual tinkerer, I got to ask before you go, what's the single coolest piece of tech or the item that you want to walk out of the merchandise show with, Doug?
Well, there's this thing called WizPack, and it's a golf bag with speakers on it. Remember Rodney Dangerfield and Caddyshack?
Yeah. So
he
what?
had that humongous bag. The caddy struggled getting it up the hill.
So let's dance.
This is smaller. You can actually carry this thing, and the sound is amazing. You can put it on a driving range and just light it up. I mean, as loud as you want to be. So, and I think that's where the game's going now. Listen, we were a bit stodgy 30 years ago, and we're gradually getting less stodgy. More people are playing golf now than ever before because we got cool things like this golf bag. Let the people hear the music. Go out there and enjoy yourself. I think it's fantastic.
Well, and speaking of hearing of the music, I don't know if you can hear it, Joe, but there's a ton of music playing over my left shoulder right now, so I apologize if you can hear that. Look, I went out and played. I tried to play 9 holes this afternoon. I only got 6 in because I had to come back and talk about the 2022 major winners with you, Joe.
That's very appreciated.
And here's the thing, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't good. So the thing that I'm most looking forward to, and I think the thing that I always most look forward to at this show, is testing out some of the simulators. We've got a ton of different simulators that the technology here is insane. They're able to provide different slopes. You can have an upslope, a downslope. You can have it the ball above your feet. Like we're at Kapalua or Augusta. There's a facsimile for like hitting out of the sand, out of the rough. It's really crazy. It's not just throw a turf mat down and hit off of it. So I always love testing out all the simulators here. We're going to report back after we've done all that at the end of the week and let you know which one is king here at Orlando.
Hey, if you need any help in the R&D, you know my number, and I'll keep an eye on the mailbox. All right, guys? Great stuff as always. Looking forward to a fun season on CBS. Great work. And the season begins at the Farmers Friday, Saturday. It is a Saturday finish this week at the Farmers. Coverage beginning on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus at 4:30 Eastern. That's to clear the way for Conference Championship Sunday on CBS. And don't forget, there's only one place to be for all your tour needs. That's the First Cut Podcast. Kyle Porter, all the guys breaking it down with can't-miss picks and all the latest breaking news off the PGA Tour. Join the conversation right now. Download and subscribe to the First Cut Podcast.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.